This presentation will focus on how the board is organized, the committees that make up your board, and new legislation regarding the officers and board's membership. So all chairs and officers. My hunch is that many of you have served on your board for at least one quadrennium, but it's helpful for me to get a sense of how long the group has served. Take a second to answer the poll that we're putting up now. You'll see a poll come on the right-hand side of your screen. If you've gathered here together as a group, you can select multiple answers for your questions. But if you could take a second to answer those questions, and when you're finished, hit submit and hit all the answers that may apply to the group that you're sitting with, so we can get a sense of who's on the call. Has had the chance to answer, we'll share those results. Great. Thanks for sharing that with us. We've got a good representation of different officers and staff here, and the majority of you have been on, or it looks like about half of you have been on your board for 5 or more years, and about half of you are new to your board. So I hope today we'll have a good balance between the overview of the board's work as well as get into some detail of what the board is about so that you can begin to organize the work in your annual conference. After the presentation, I want to point out to you that you can submit questions as you think of them. If you look to the right of the screen, there is a section labeled Q&A, and if it's closed, you can hit the arrow and open up that section, and at the bottom of that section, there's an area where you can submit a question. We'll do that to respond to your questions today, but we will also be compiling them and responding to participants by the end of the week for anything that we're not able to get to today. The different disciplinary paragraphs, I'll be referring to new paragraph numbers from the 2012 book discipline. GM has posted the red line, or the first draft of BOM-related work on the website as a PDF, and here's how you get there for that. I'm going to share my browser with you for a second. And take pop-up. With browser, type gm.org, which brings you to GBHEM homepage. You'll see a blue bar that says networking, and work down, or you can on that drop-down menu select Boards of Ordained Ministry. Boards of Ordained Ministry page, you'll see across that green bar where it says red line or first draft of BOM-related work. It's got a link, download the PDF, and it will pop up here for you to download. I know that you can get to this page is by simply typing .org/BOM. Take you straight to the Boards of Ordained Ministry page. That's the board's work is paragraph 635 in the 2012 Book of Discipline. Board members are elected by the annual conference to a 4-year term and cannot serve for more than 12 consecutive years. The work is funded through the Conference Council on Finance and Administration. The plan does outline minimum requirements for who is represented in the board membership. You can see that there is a requirement for deacons and elders to serve on the board, associate members and local pastors, and as well as a good mix of laity and clergy. If you look at the requirement for local pastor, the 2012 General Conference clarified that a local pastor may serve on the board. That person must be a full-time local pastor and someone who has completed the course of study. Take a second now to look at your board roster. These categories represent it. Are there additional members that need to be added to fulfill these requirements? Give you a minute or two to look at that and confirm who fulfills the different requirements that are listed here. If you don't have it with you, I will be sharing this slide presentation with you at the end of today so that you can use this for future reference. I'll give you about 2 minutes just to look over that, and then we'll be back. The discipline does not dictate all of the board's officers. Your board decides its officers based on the needs of your annual conference. However, a couple positions are required, namely the chair and the BOM registrar. Positions are at the board's discretion and are typically the chairpersons of different subcommittees. Additionally, the General Conference this year, any position or the possibility of a new officer, the Vocational Discernment Coordinator. And this is what the discipline says about it in the 2012 edition. As you can see, there is not much there about the Vocational Discernment Coordinator and that person's responsibilities. The legislation was intentionally written to be permissive rather than restrictive. Annual conferences can structure this position in the way that works the best for them. The intent is to have someone at the board level who works with district committees, district superintendents, and board to ensure that the candidacy mentoring process runs smoothly. This position was recommended by the Study of Ministry Commission, and someone with key responsibility for instituting group candidacy mentoring in your annual conference and training candidacy mentors. Then also serve as an additional point of contact other than the district superintendent for those who are entering candidacy. Because so many candidates have reported that beginning candidacy or behind a mentor was a roadblock to candidacy process. The vocational discernment coordinator position provides another way to ensure a good beginning for candidates. The person who fulfills these responsibilities can be a member of your board or staff person with full or part-time responsibilities in this area. New, GTM is interested in how many different boards are going to integrate this position into their annual conference. If you would, I'd like to take a minute now to gather some information from you. Another poll, and the poll you see now will help us in gathering information about the vocational discernment coordinator and annual conferences plan to use that position. One of these questions, if you would again hit the submit button, and then we'll see a compilation of the answers in a minute. Seconds to give you a chance to answer this, and then we'll close it out. Okay, sharing that. I'm in the process of developing some resources for this position and finding ways that the board can assist the annual conferences as you launch the new area. So this is helpful for me. And at the end of this session, there will be some time for you also to make suggestions about what kind of resources will help you in moving forward with this. Now I want to look at the committees that you'll need to have established in carrying out your work. As you can see, there are 3 required committees: the Executive Committee, the Conference Committee, and the District Committees on Org Ministry, which function as subcommittees of the board. The required committees on the next few slides, but possible groups can be formed around issues of programming and other board functions. Other than those that are required, you establish committees at your board's discretion and formed in such a way to help you complete your board's work. So here are some committees that you can consider as you organize your board. They have others. It'll be up to you. We're to taking a look at the 3 that are required. The Executive Committee. The co-chair, vice chairs, and BOM registrars serve on the Executive Committee. This of the orders of deacons and elders and the fellowship of local pastors and associate members are also members of the board and its Executive Committee. GTM encourages that committee chairs serve on your Executive Committee along with the Vocational Discernment Coordinator and the Cabinet Representative who is named by your bishop. Now, to look at the map of your Executive Committee. Who's on it? What are assigned to each member? Are committees not represented that need to have someone there? Monitoring the Q&A section during this time if you want to type in a question, and allow 2 minutes for you to have some small group discussion about this. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Now let's shift and talk about the Conference Relations Committee. Change coming out of this year's General Conference is the mandate that all boards shall have a Conference Relations Committee, or CRC. Shall language is new from the 2012 General Conference and will be found in the new discipline paragraph 635.1. Members already have this committee, but some assign the functions of conference relations to another subgroup. Were made in the administrative fair process and complaint process this year. One of the outcomes for that legislation was to move ineffectiveness from the judicial complaint process. It means that any recommendation to remove a clergy person from active status because of ineffectiveness will solely be handled through an administrative fair process hearing overseen by the board. Additionally, the responsibility to hear any request for an involuntary status change and to make a recommendation to the board regarding the request is specifically assigned to the Conference Relations Committee. Any fair process hearing that your annual conference board deals with will start first in the Conference Relations Committee. Responsibilities are now clearly assigned to the CRC. The discipline also changed to make a Conference Relations Committee for all boards. Take now to discuss your board's CRC or to look at the roster. And here are the members of that committee. Well, that the discipline prohibits district superintendent from serving on the Conference Relations Committee. To make any adjustments to the committee regarding the participation of district superintendents, or do you look at your committee for gender balance and for ethnic diversity? Take a minute to look at that, and I'll be right back. Provide more detailed information about the administrative fair process at the September 12th webinar. We will offer a workshop for conference relations chairs at the training event this October in Dallas. I strongly encourage the chairs of this committee to attend both of these events. What we'll look at today is the District Committee on Ordained Ministry. District committees are subcommittees of the board. That's noted in paragraph 635.1F. The board representative for each district committee, and the board is responsible for training all DCOM members. The Committee on Ordained Ministries responsibilities will be outlined in paragraph 666 in the 2012 Book of Discipline. And talk about training the district committees. I want to show you where the training resources are on the GBHEM website. Share browser with you again. Browser, you can simply type in .org/BOM training. Up a page with training resources. As you maneuver through that, you will see that there are resources available to train mentors, registrars, to district committees, and to Board of Ordained Ministry. You can simply on one of those tabs and and you will see PowerPoint presentations, different PDFs, and different types of guidelines and information that you can use in putting your training sessions together. Will be updated to reflect the new disciplinary numbers. For now, paragraphs referred to are from the 2008 Book of Discipline, and we're working to get this updated as quickly as possible. The board is all-encompassing in relationship to conference membership and in the recruitment, support, and ongoing formation of clergy leaders. Recruitment of new candidates to discern events about set-apart ministry, to continuing formation for active clergy, helping clergy transition into retirement. The word ministry of the board provide ongoing support through a candidates and clergy's relationship annual conference. The board makes recommendations for final action to the clergy session of the annual conference regarding all status changes and membership issues, from licensing to provisional membership to ordination or to termination. There are 3 areas that you'll need to pay particular attention to this year because of the legislative changes. And those are transitional leave, appointment, and full-time appointment for elders. These were affected by decisions made at General Conference and will impact the board's work in new ways. Look more closely at the details of these paragraphs during the September 12th webinar. But now you can reference the new paragraphs in the red line edition of the discipline for more information. The chief status was changed to a paragraph allowing for the status of transitional leave for those who do not receive an appointment. Less than full-time appointment can be initiated by the bishop or by an elder who will serve less than full-time. This appointment must also be recommended by the board to the clergy session for approval. Anticipating, just as you are, this fall's decision of the Judicial Council regarding security of appointment. So stay for what's to come regarding that. To close this portion of the webinar, I want to show you the banner head that our office uses for our e-newsletters. Specifically for boards, green. We have different colors for different groups, but we always use the same format, so it will look like this. I've been hearing from a few people lately that they still are not receiving these newsletters. It means that GBHEM does not have your updated contact information for new board officers. Know if that is the case, so we can work with you to update officers for the new quadrennium. My contact information will be on the next slide. Send an email or type something into the Q&A section here, and I will follow up with you. We have information out to register for the September 12th webinar on legislation, as well as information about the BOM quadrennial training event that will be in Dallas this October. Registration has opened for each of these with information in the e-newsletters on how to register. An overview of the organization and work of the board. I haven't had time today to go through all the details. My hope is that you have received some good resources and places to seek information when you need it. One resource available on the BOM webpage I shared earlier is the BOM handbook. As Glenn mentioned, you can get to the handbook by typing in gbhem.org/BOM handbook. Handbook gives more details for each area of the board's work and answers some procedural questions